Hi, my name is Leah Johansson, and this is my Pecha Kucha reflection on my past quarter in HCDE 313, Introduction to User Research. I will be talking about my HCDE 313 journey that includes the 3 research methodologies I practice. These methods included a field study, 3 one-on-one interviews, and a survey. This was one of my first classes as an HCDE student, and I was very excited to learn more about the research portion of the major. I had done a small amount of user research in a club project before, but nothing formal. I was sort of scared of the workload after Sarah said that this class was going to be a lot of work, but I was ready to take on the challenge. Through the practice of these methodologies and Sarah talking about the importance of user research in industry through her direct experience, I learned that user research is the backbone of design because it helps us understand the needs and goals of users. The learned insights from the research help ensure the product benefits the user. When Sarah told us that we were going to choose a topic that we would be focusing our research on for the rest of the quarter, I made sure that I chose a topic I was interested in. For me, that was dogs and parks. I love going on walks to get exercise and seeing all of the cute dogs. Plus, I knew I could find participants because there are parks all over Seattle. I thought that the topic about dogs and parks would be really fun to research. My initial design question for the field study was, how can we promote interactions between dog and non-dog walkers at city parks? I was surprised and slightly concerned that this question changed throughout the methods. I later learned that it's okay if your design question evolves as long as it's based off your results. My first assignment was our field study plan. I remember feeling very confused and lost as I had never done a detailed plan for research before. I took a breath and started writing. I soon realized that I kind of enjoyed writing the plans. I especially found the work back schedule helpful in organizing my hectic life and workload. My written plan allowed me to start working right away. Now it was time to execute my field study plan. I chose to observe at Green Lake Park because I knew that people and dogs walk there. I started by observing basic things like the types of dogs and the environment, but then I started getting the hang of it and started recording people's and dogs' actions and interactions. I learned that observations are great at showing people's true behaviors. I think that I'm a pretty observative person in general. Whenever I'm walking or sitting anywhere, I naturally observe people's behaviors in my environment, so I actually enjoyed observing people and dogs at parks. I think my observations at public parks would have been better if it wasn't so cold and gloomy out, because there would have been more people and dogs to observe. From my interview, I am grateful that I started extremely early as to make room for errors and planning issues. I recruited 3 UW students who walked at parks as they were readily available, but I found that planning to meet up with them was difficult because, surprise, college students are quite busy. I had to replan with one interviewee several times. For my first interview, I recorded and wrote notes, but realized I wasn't that engaged because I was so focused on writing the notes. So, for my other 2 interviews, I just recorded and focused on being fully engaged with what my interviewee was saying. Luckily, my recordings worked. Overall, I found that follow-up questions were quite easy to ask when I was actually engaged. I really utilized what Sarah told us in class, that people like talking about themselves and that people are naturally storytellers. Because I was interested in this topic, it was easy for me to keep asking them questions and learn more about their needs, behaviors, and thoughts. Interviews are great at exploring stories. Because I stopped taking notes, I had to transcribe my recorded interviews. I knew the importance of consistency, so I decided to transcribe all of my interviews. I was naive and I thought it wouldn't take me that long because I was a fast typer. Wrong, I learned that it's long and tedious. For future, longer interviews, I would want to get help transcribing. My design question evolved from my survey based on my interview findings. To my surprise, my interviewees talked more about park features and less about interactions, so my new design question became, how can parks be designed to support a positive experience for dogs, dog walkers, and non-dog walkers? This change was a slight bump in the road, but I learned that this actually shows I'm catering toward my user. I learned that surveys are good at getting a lot of data from users, but they're not that easy. It's difficult to think ahead and understand the question's relationships to one another. I sort of did this, but not to the extent that I needed to, and it showed in my graphs. I think that if we had the data analysis lecture before we created our questions, my questions and data analysis would have been stronger. I still have a lot to learn about how to make meaningful survey questions, but this will come with lots of practice. In my future, I hope to master my survey making skills and create meaningful results that positively impact designs. Furthermore, I learned that surveys have the power to attain a wealth of data. With this wealth comes power. One thing that stood out to me was when Sarah was warning us about distorted data. It's extremely easy to fake results when you change your data. For example, you can start the axis at a hand-chosen number to show significant differences, when in reality this difference is tiny. As a researcher and data analyst, I know it's my responsibility to show the real data and not lie. After conducting and analyzing my field observations, interviews, and surveys, I learned that walkers tend to like dogs and want to pet them because they are cute or the person walking the dog seems friendly. This doesn't seem surprising, but now I have data to prove it. I also found that walkers go on walks to de-stress and enjoy when parks have lakes and clean bathrooms. These results lead to park design recommendations. I recommended that parks include a lake or invest in land near the ocean and offer clean public bathrooms. They should also have off-leash dog areas that cater towards dog walkers. These features will create an enjoyable park experience for all types of walkers. These recommendations seem simple, but the proof is in the research findings. I was dedicated to learning and doing well in this class and started attending office hours. My TA, Allison, was extremely helpful and patient. She became a teacher that helped critique my work and improve my skills. I am a stronger researcher because I push myself to go to office hours and ask a lot of questions. User research can be difficult and confusing, but with a little help, you can be a successful researcher. Overall, I learned that user research takes time and patience. Sometimes you get results that don't support your question, and you have to reassess. This taught me to go with the flow. I still want to be a designer, but I know that I will work on teams with user researchers and will create some incredible user-centered projects. I'm grateful that this class has prepared me to handle new UX adventures.